Richmond, Virginia, home of the 6th Mythic Championship. Over the course of the next 3 days, 32 MPL players and more than 500 of the best Magic players from all corners of the world will battle it out for glory, their share of $500,000, and a seat at the Magic the Gathering World Championship. The 6th Mythic Championship starts now.
If there was a third big name.
Hello everyone, welcome to Richmond, Virginia in the United States of America, and welcome to our live coverage of Mythic Championship VI 2019. Rich Hagan alongside Maria Bartholdi and Eduardo Sanchkalik, a whole range of cast and crew ready to bring you 3 days of action here, live and exclusive. We can't wait to share all the joys of this entertainment with you over the next 3 days. So Maria, what are you looking forward to?
Well, we kick things off in the morning with Draft, Rich, and I'm so excited for Throne of Eldraine Draft. It's a kind of a consensus, one of the best draft formats that the pros are really excited about, and it's a really unique draft format as well because you can build monocolor decks. We'll get into that a little bit later.
So Eduardo, you lost the pre-show coin toss, which meant that Maria got to say she's looking forward to Draft. That means by definition, you're about to explain why you're looking forward to Standard. Off you go.
I have to?
Yep. No.
Well, we're going to see a lot of mid-range, I suspect. But a lot of the players in the room have actually been enjoying kind of this mid-range grind, slog, whatever you want to call it, because when decks go towards the middle of the game, that means a lot of decisions can be made. And with flexible cards means a lot of decisions. For good players, that means a lot more wins on the belt.
We're going to see great gameplay. That's the point, isn't it? We may see a lot of one particular archetype. Quite how much, we don't know. We'll reveal that at lunchtime. But boy, oh boy, we're going to see some serious play from serious players. So, Maria, let's walk us through, everyone, how this weekend pans out. What's the shape of the show?
All right, well, we're going to kick things off this morning with the Draft. 3 rounds of Draft, Throne of Eldraine Booster Draft. Very excited for this. And then, of course, this afternoon, we move into Standard rounds 4 through 8. That's Swiss pairings, which means you play somebody on the same record as you, best of 3 matches. Then, if you get to the magic number, 4 wins, you get to come back on Saturday, and woo, it's another free draft again. There you go, 3 rounds of Draft. Once again, Saturday morning to kick things off, so get your coffee and join us there for some awesome draft action. And once again, back into Standard for that afternoon. Same thing, Swiss pairings, best of 3 matches. And then what we're all here for, the top 8 on Sunday. Standard, only best single elimination, best of 5 matches. And the first 2 games are pre-sideboard.
All right, Eduardo, let's talk about the prizes on offer this weekend, because we have plenty of cold hard cash to give away.
Yeah, I mean, I believe $500,000 is on the line.
The $500,000, indeed.
And the important thing here is, you know, you're traveling here, you get $500, no matter what. You know, that's nice, taken care of. What people are going for, though, if they can, is get to that first place prize. Not just the $50,000 you see on screen, but also a seat to the World Championship. That's really what these players want more than anything.
Second, $20,000. Third through fourth, $15,000. Fifth through eighth, $10,000. So a lot of money on the line for these players, which we can see out there sitting, getting ready for draft this morning, thinking about that first place prize money, and also a pretty sweet trophy as well. So, Rich, speaking of the World Championships, we've got our eyes on some players who are seeking out slots there this weekend.
Right, so let's take a look. Right now, 4 members of the Magic Pro League will advance to the World Championship at the end of the season. Let's take a look at the 4 who are in possession of those seats right now. Andrea Mengucci, 117 points. Reed Duke, who was inducted into the Hall of Fame last night, 112. Brian Browndoon, the 2016 World Champion, 108. And Ken Yukihiro on 104 points. The 4 of them, if the season ended right now, would be in the World Championship. Plenty of results still to come in, though, this weekend and Long Beach next month, prime amongst them. Now, what about the challengers? Because we have 4 top challengers will also get seats at the World Championship. Let's show you the 4 who right now, if the season ended today, would be in those precious, precious World Championship seats. Rafael Levy, Hall of Famer. Luis Scott Vargas, Hall of Famer. Gabriel Nassif, Hall of Famer. and Chris Kvartek, who is one of the real breakout stories of this season. Tremendous work by him, top 8, of course, of Mythic Championship London, MC2 earlier this year, had a great start to MC5 in Long Beach last month. And critically, Kvartek is qualified for MC7 because he won the MCQ from his own home in the MCQ weekend.
Playing mono green too.
Right. So that's the shape of things. And then I also want to talk about people who are trying to stay in the MPL, because we're heading down the stretch. The top 20 in the MPL will remain in the MPL next season. But from 20 down, they drop down into the newly formed Rivals League. So here, for example, here's Palavita Domaderosa. He's right on the bubble in 20th. And then you've got fellow Brazilian Lucas Escoberto. By the way, that round of applause right now is for Reed Duke. The just huge applause from 500 or so competitors out on the floor. Reed into the Hall of Fame. Congratulations to him. But yes, Lucas Escoberto in 26th place right now. Jessica Estefan, 30th. Luis Salvato, 31st. Jessica Estefan, I can tell you, we're going to see in action this morning in our featured draft pod. So that's just some of the storylines we're following. The MPL seats for Worlds, the Challenger seats for Worlds, and who gets to stay in the MPL next season.
And something pretty cool also here this weekend. A few people out there currently who might not have been expecting to be out there. LCQ winners from the Magic Fest next door.
Right, so we have 7 players who made it through a gauntlet of opponents yesterday and get to come back today. And the thing is, they're not always prepared,
no.
Right? So what was it, Dylan Lurch?
Yes, Dylan Lurch on Twitter. I saw him post this morning. I'm going to need a crash course in Throne of Eldraine Limited.
Yeah, I saw that this morning. I'm like, well, you know, you should, like, that's the thing. You prepare for standard and constructed so long, you're like, oh, wow, oh, wait, we're drafting tomorrow.
Yeah, right? I mean, so there's always a chance you hop in an LCQ that you could be out there.
Yeah.
Right, but that's one of the points, right? And that's why a lot of the top players love limited in a fashion is a lot of people qualify through one format, right? They play their Grand Prix, they play their qualifier, that's usually in constructed. You come here, oh no, I gotta play limited.
So we have 7 LCQ winners. So congratulations, Mark Blesso, Lance Nines, Matthew Reeks, Todd Scott, Alexei Shasov, and then I really want to mention Emmanuel Gershenson. Now, Eduardo, you've played plenty with and against Emmanuel, a 2-time Grand Prix champion from Austria.
Yeah, he's a really stellar player who's kind of, you know, like with a lot of players in Magic, they kind of fall in and out, you know, like some people have a long love for the game and others, they still love the game, but sometimes like I have priorities in my life that I want to arrange, but they're always welcome back. And Emmanuel made the trip, won the LCQ and is coming in roaring back.
Yeah, and he is one of those players who is just what I might call casually good. Some players really need the big run-up of months of preparation and to only focus on that. He's just like, I'll pick up some Magic cards. Oh, I remember Magic. I'm quite good at Magic. Here I am being quite good at Magic.
Yeah. He was specifically exceptional in the season where all the Pro Tours at the time were a week after set release, because he's very good at picking things up, as you mentioned. So when every format is new, he's very good at it.
Which, of course, is not where we are this weekend. And that in itself presents some interesting challenges. Let's talk a little bit, as the players get ready to draft, about Limited. Maria.
All right, so Throne of Eldraine Limited, we talked about it a little bit at the top. It's not your traditional draft format. What's unique about it, Eduardo?
The biggest thing for me, Maria, is that you can draft 15 distinct color combinations. You have the traditional 10 color pairs, but what's new is before you could kind of draft one color, but usually you wouldn't get enough
It was
playables.
underpowered.
Yeah, exactly. But one thing you can do now is you can draft mono white, mono blue, mono red, mono green, and mono black. You can draft one of these archetypes because there are some payoffs. The card I like to think about is Hengewalker. It's a card that if you're playing 2 colors is really bad because it's usually a 2/2 on turn free. But in monocolor decks, it's a free for free, which is generally a decent common in a lot of sets like Center Courser. So a card like that will go late and a monocolor drafter will pick it up. So you have a few cards like that will come late. I also think the gold hybrid cards are perfect examples. They're 4 of 1 color pip. So if you're black-white, you have access to 1. If you're mono-white, you have access to 4 distinct ones.
And something else I love about this format is the build around uncommons. We hear about this a lot, and they're kinds of cards that can make formats super exciting to draft. Lucky Clover is one of my favorites, Trail of Crumbs.
Lucky Clover is amazing.
I love Lucky Clover.
All right, we have our feature pod down in the feature match area. So why don't we walk you through who is down there? We'll go live to the floor and we'll give you a sense of who you're going to see in action. It is a real mix. We've got the best part of 500 players. There is your 2013-2014 world champion, Shahar Shenhar. Who will he be passing to? It's former player of the year and limited superstar, Mike Sigrist. Next around the table, well, that is Jessica Estefan. We know that she needs a great finish here. She's in the MPL this season, looking to stay in for the next season. Round we go. It's going to be Matt Schmaltz in his 10th Mythic Championship start. And as we carry on around the table, it's going to be next round is going to be Alexei Shasov. Now that's one of our LCQ winners. There you see Alexei. He's been in plenty of feature matches on the European Grand Prix scene. Next to him, Paul Couillet, 5th Mythic Championship start. He's got a 2nd at a Grand Prix. And then Michael Jaskalka is up next, his 1st ever Mythic Championship start. He won at Magic Fest Detroit, the MCQ there. And then it's Bradley Yu with 3 Grand Prix top 8s. He will then pass back round in picks 1 and 3 to Shahar Shenhar. So that is the table that we're looking at. And we are going to see Shahar Shenhar live. And then we'll have a chance to see every pick of every pack of Jess Estefan. So really excited to see the two of them draft this format. But you're talking a little bit more about the format we're about to see.
Right.
And get a sense of some of those pointers for newer viewers. What should we be looking for?
Well, first off is like talking to a few of the pros in the room. One of the strategies is you try to focus on one color. And the reason for that is, monocolor is available, so you'll start with a powerful card in that color and try to stick. So rather than the traditional drafting the hardware where you take the best card, you stick to one color, and then either you go 2 colors because you opened a gem in another, or you go, what, I'm good monocolor, let's just stick down my lane. And the key here is flexibility. It's being able to read signals, and it's being able to adapt to what your opponents are passing to you.
Now flexibility is always important, but the fact that you're making that point, is that especially important in Throne of Eldraine?
Oh yeah, it's absolutely critical in this set. If you decide to just go down your own lane, you will have not the best pick of the litter, so to speak. And I think it's really critical, because if the person, it's not just, are they in my colors, it's also, are they drafting monocolor? Because then those cards I mentioned that are from monocolor decks, they get picked up. And then you might be taken out and not get those late playables that you sorely need because you're down one lane.
And this is a known format, Eduardo. It's been out for a while. Do you think that gives an edge to people who've been playing for a long time? Because card evaluations certainly have changed since the set first came out.
That's very true, but you might have seen this back in Barcelona, right? Modern Horizons in Barcelona, the set had been out for so long, so people had had a ton of chance to draft, but people hadn't had a consensus, and this is the same in the Throne of Eldraine. It hasn't been drafted enough at the top level to know, well, actually, what's the strategy at breaking point? Because you're going to see people trying to do exploitative strategies, right? There are cards that keep going late around tables, so if you know one of those cards, you can build your whole deck around it. So
I want to try and put a rough number on this word flexibility. Mm-hmm. Everyone is very happy, especially at this level, to take a first pick and then go, no, I'm never playing that. It turns out because pick 2, 3, 4 take me down a completely different route. But are we going to see people going, at pick 6, it looks like we've got 3, 4 different things going on, and the draft is not going to coalesce for Shahar until pack 2, potentially?
I would argue if you had 2 playables from pack 1, you could still have a decent deck.
Okay.
Wow.
As long as you are ready to go for it when you need to.
Okay.
All right, well, hopefully that won't be the case. We're going to see some draft action. The players are ready. Let's head down for draft here at Mythic Championship VI.
Back to coverage here. Now we're just getting rolling early in the morning here, Paul, and this is where all the butterflies are in the stomachs of the players here because it's the first draft.
Oh, absolutely. And I am really, really excited to see this draft. I have been thoroughly enjoying drafting this format, bugging you and Luis for lots and lots of answers on how to draft this format. And, honestly, after speaking to a bunch of different players, there still doesn't seem to be a consensus best archetype. Talking to a lot of different people, you can go monocolored, but at the same time, a lot of people aren't sure if control strategies are the best way to go, or if you want to be proactive and be aggressive. So really interesting to see how things shake out, and really we're going to get a really good chance to see, what these players like. Shahar Shenhar, on one of the top playtest teams, we get to see kind of, does he want to take something like a So Tiny and draft a control deck, or try to go more proactive strategy and take cards like, Ardenvale Tactician, which I think has steadily risen in the ranks, and people are just taking this very, very highly.
All right, well, we're going to be riding along here with Shahar Shenhar. You can see our main table now as we take a look at it with the trio of MPLers over there on the left-hand side, the wrecking crew ready to get the job done. But of course, there's no team here, right? This is they don't look at each other and say, "Hey, we're all MPLers," right? It's like, no, I want to beat you, everybody else at the table. And like I said, we're going to be starting off with Shahar Shenhar and see how he approaches the format. And it looks like we're underway.
Yeah, if anything, you want less MPL players at your table, because you really want to just pick up as many wins as possible. We're getting close to the end of the season here. Every single Mythic point that you pick up counts. It's very, very important for, some of these players to potentially make it to the World Championships, and of course also staying in the MPL.
Well, I don't know what he took, but it looks like it was Witch's Vengeance.
Witch's Vengeance.
Yeah, so a really solid little spell that can act sometimes as even a sweeper against the right strategy, say Tribal Knights deck or something like that. But even if you just kill one creature with it, that's fine.
Yeah, totally fine. 3 mana option, which, kind of the floor of it is kill, give something -3/-3. But like you mentioned before, if you can get multiple creatures off this thing, it can be devastating. Also, there are just scenarios where you can just name humans, right? There are archetypes where you want to be either kind of doing the Knights thing with a lot of different humans, or draft a deck that doesn't have a lot of humans. And if you can just name human, you can potentially get 2 to 3 creatures off of this one card.
Solid, kind of right down the middle style removal spell to take out a threat on the other side of the battlefield. Wow, now he gets a third pick, Reeve Soul as well.
Yeah. Fierce Witchstalker, also very, very powerful, but it seems like Reeve Soul is the pick here, especially after that first pick, Witch's Vengeance. I think generally just on power, they're close. Fierce Witchstalker is quite strong, but I think Shahar maybe just leaning towards being the more controlling strategy and just trying to cut off a color. Cutting off a color is extremely important in this format, because you get heavily rewarded if you can manage to cut off one of the colors, because as Eduardo alluded to earlier, trying to be one color and keep yourself flexible to find out what potentially that second color is, or even having that opportunity to be monocolor, is huge in this format.
Looks like Shahar's taking a look at an opt here now, Paul.
Yeah.
Not exactly a high impact card, but a fine playable.
Yeah, and this is, however, one of those packs where you look at it, and the most powerful cards were the Gruul cards there. You saw an Escape to the Wilds, you saw Smasher, but it looks like Shahar just wants to kind of stay the course here with that Witch's Vengeance, with that Charm Sleep and Reeve Soul. He has a very solid start to a Dimir deck, but as you can see here, another payoff card. It looks like Gruul is absolutely open. That looks like the seat that he wants to be moving into, but it might be too late, right? He's already taken a bunch of blue and black cards, but
yep.
He's taking a Lost Legion, which is a significantly weaker card.
That's right. He had a chance at a Grumgully there, but Yeah, it looks like Shahar's decided that he doesn't want to abandon those first picks, and you can understand why. They're quite strong, but this could end up very poorly for Shahar because it feels like he's being cut on multiple levels. Yeah, he got a third pick Reeve Soul, which is at least a little bit of a signal, but look at this pack. Nothing. There's a corridor monitor for him, a fringe playable at best.
Yeah.
Yikes.
I will say the one thing about the corridor monitor is that the sizing actually lines up pretty well with a lot of the other aggressive cards in the format. You know, one of my favorite cards in the format is Rimrock Knight, right? It's a 2-mana 3/1, and the corridor monitor does a good job of blocking a lot of those creatures. Also, 4 toughness, very good against cards like the Scorching Dragonfire. But yeah, I mean, you know, it doesn't especially look like this color combination is open.
Not at all. In fact, kind of the opposite at this point. Sure, there's a couple of black cards in this pack, but neither are particularly good. Spectre Shriek or a Memory Theft. And once again, Shahar's going to stay the course, but really sacrifice some power level here, passing a Marileaf Pixie.
Yeah.
Mistford River Turtle. Not really what you dreamed of when you went to bed last night if you were Shahar Shenhar thinking, okay, what am I going to be drafting tomorrow? It's like River Turtles and Hand Disruption really wasn't the name of the game for him, though, to be fair, this entire pack, relatively weak.
Yeah. There was a Ginger Brute, which, you know, has really overperformed or surprised me because, you know, I think at the beginning of the format, you know, you look at a card like that, 1-mana 1/1's generally not something that you want to be playing in your draft decks, but because it synergizes well with a lot of the different themes in the set, sometimes you can use a food, but just more importantly, the fact that it's unblockable and you have cards that can pump it up actually have given me a little more respect for that Ginger Brute. So if Shahar did decide to go the route of being the red-green non-humans deck, Ginger Brute would fit, you know, right into that strategy.
It actually does. Yeah, it's weird. Like you said, you wouldn't think so at first glance, but it does actually do a thing. All right, well, this is a little bit of hope here. Attempting Witch. Look, it's not a bomb by any stretch, but this is a solid playable that he can put into his deck if he'd like.
Yeah, but
this pack has been bumpy, not good. The first few picks good, but that's often the case because there's so many cards available that you can just kind of pick up good stuff there anyway. And now all of a sudden, though, if we really are honest, he is in a color pair that does not seem destined for this.
He doesn't even have an uncommon in his that would go into his deck, right?
Nope.
You had that first pick rare and a bunch of commons. I mean, the first 3 picks were nice, but everything after was fairly mediocre. And he's gonna have to lean very heavily. This pack 2 has to be absolutely fantastic because based on what we've seen, I don't think pack 3 is gonna go much better for him either.
And that is generally the pattern that you'll see. Now, he's supposed to get hooked up in this second pack hard, though. So you said he needs to have this go really well. It is relatively likely that that happens. He cut these colors about as hard as you could. So pack 2 could be very good for Shahar. But, you know, if I'm him, I'm nervous because pack 2 has to go well. And then you have to assume that pack 3 won't. And then how good is your deck? Based on this pack?
Yeah. Generally, when you're drafting, the most important thing that you need to focus on is identifying the color that's open, that's coming from your right side, not the left, of course, because there's 2 packs compared to 1. Sure, he did a good job of cutting off a lot of stuff for pack 1, but sure, he might get some cards in pack 2, but in pack 3, you're just not. If your deck's just going to be full of a bunch of Ops and Lost Legions, you are not going to win matches. The blue-black control strategy, I think Shahar is going to be looking for cards like Covetous Urge. Very nice finisher for that style of deck.
Absolutely.
Still, you know, he does have some solid removal and a couple of ways to block, but still needs to find a way to win the match. He doesn't really have any win conditions left either, but still early in the draft. Wants some evasive creatures here.
All right, here we go. Wow! There's your win condition.
Yeah, I mean,
picks up a Serpent here.
Yeah, that is exactly the type of card that you want to be starting with, right? That's a good start. You get that Serpent that allows you to have that kind of late game win condition, but that's not going to be enough. Shahar needs to continue to pick up cards for his deck. This pack 2 needs to be very strong for him.
Yeah, Lockmere Serpent though is perfect for him. It is extremely difficult to beat. You can give it unblockable, you can draw cards and gain life, and it can even come back if it gets killed. So inevitability is very much the name of the game for a Lochmere Serpent, and it's perfect for Shahar. So he can actually breathe a sigh of relief because in many ways that does just take care of the win condition, and he needs to sort of fill out the deck around it. Still, he's got some work to do here. He's taking a look at a Didn't Say Please, and there's also a Merfolk Secret Keeper here. Serving different roles, but they both go well in the same deck of Incidental Mill. You know, one of the features of this format is that you don't have to be all in to mill your opponent out. You can build a blue-black control deck that uses a Merfolk Secret Keeper or two and a Didn't Say Please or two, and then maybe you recur the Secret Keeper once or twice, and you get, you know, say 8 or 12 cards deep into their library, and then you just wait. You just sit there and you go, kill your threat, block, you know, and you can just wait them out. He took the Secret Keeper there.
Right, but certainly not a card you're going to be especially happy second picking.
Ooh, but third pick, Epic Downfall. That is really nice. Wow, Epic Downfall, though, is
yeah,
perfection.
that is a premium removal spell. It's going to be happy to be picking up that one. And yeah, I mean, this pack going reasonably well for him so far. He has the option to, you know, he started off with that Lochmere Serpent, Epic Downfall being one of the best removal spells in the format.
That's right.
And let's see if he can continue.
There's a
following that
Fairy
up.
Vandal. That's okay. He's looking at Spinning Wheel as well, which is okay. You know, these are cards you can put in your deck. I would certainly be tempted to just play the Fairy Vandal. He already has an opt. If you get 1+1/+1 counter on it, you're happy.
Right. And on top of that, you know, you just got to be concerned about the cheap threats in your deck, right? The Fairy Vandal does have the potential to just win games, right? You pick up. There's just plenty of ways in blue. The draw extra cards archetype is very well supported. So there are just plenty of additional ways to draw additional cards. So yeah, Fairy Vandal, just with all that upside, you just want to be picking that up.
This pack is already starting to fall off a bit here for Shahar. He's taking a look at Witch's Oven, which is a card you can play in decks like this if you'd like. And he's going to take it here. But, you know, that wasn't the high impact that he wanted.
Right. All right, so there's a Steel Gaze Griffin here and a Moonlit Scavengers. So Griffin, just an additional way to potentially be a win condition, right? Just get you a little more evasion. It's a pretty nice body, but the Scavengers also is a good way to get tempo back, right?
That's right. It's also just a better body.
Right. So if you can just get some artifacts in play, it's not too hard. He does have that Charm Sleep. Yeah, there's a bunch of incidental ways to make food. Scavengers is a nice way to kind of have at the top of your curve. Shahar does have to be mindful now, though, the fact that he has 2 6-drops in his deck. You can't really have too many more of those in your deck.
Yeah, that's a good point. But a nice pickup. You
Yeah.
know, that's a fine playable for him. So, and for those of you asking, which card is Venture Deeper? That's actually the Adventure on Merfolk Secret Keeper, and he did take a Merfolk Secret Keeper there. That's his second pick in pack 2, if you're just tuning in.
And Wicked Guardian not looking terrible here, as Shahar does have many good defensive creatures.
Yeah.
They're all statted. You know, you have the Corridor Monitor, the Secret Keeper, the Lost Legion, just plenty of ways to just be able to draw that card. 4 mana, 4/2. If you can reliably draw that card and have it stay, have that creature stick around, pretty strong.
Yeah, there's another Tempting Witch as well. He's taking a look at Shambling Suit, though this is not a deck that is particularly well suited for it. But he's going to take it.
Yeah, typically Shambling Suit, you know, you want to be very heavy. You want to have many different ways to make food, have lots of enchantments. You know, pretty solid option if you're maybe something like the blue-white archetype. Lots of enchantments in that deck, along with, of course, just some incidental ways to make food.
He took a Mystical Dispute, and he's going to pick up a Witch here, though. Which is fine. Again, you know, which is pretty good. And what does he see here? A Smitten Swordmaster. Wow, there's 2 of those very late in the pack.
Yeah, and the Smitten Swordmaster, absolutely fantastic if you are knights, right? you know, I've had this card drain people for 5. You know, I've had decks where you just have 13, 14, 15 knights in your deck, and that card just goes a long way, especially if you have ways to recur it with Barrow Witches and Forever Young. You can just use that as your late game win condition.
Yeah, also interesting to note here, you know, if you're used to drafting, say, on Arena or even on Magic Online in a league, you know, you're not going to be playing against people in your pod. That's not how it works here. You know, Shahar, if he passes a Smitten Swordmaster and somebody takes it, he may have to play against it. And I can tell you, these decks that can build up a big board of blockers and kind of lock down the ground, they can lose to that card.
Absolutely.
You can set up where you go, you know what? I'm just going to hold this Smitten Swordmaster in my hand for a lot of turns, build out my board, and then be like, 6 you?
Right.
And then the game can just be over.
So I would say that this pack went okay for Shahar. It wasn't fantastic by any means. Of course,
the highs were
Serpent.
very high.
Yeah, the Lockmere Serpent being great along with that epic downfall. You know, he does have a fair amount of decent blockers against small creatures. Not so much against maybe a large green deck with a bunch of Fierce Witch Stalkers. And he's got a nice mix of removal. It'd be nice to see if he can pick up maybe a couple of ways to draw cards, as he is drafting a blue-black control deck. Really needs to not miss those land drops, get to that Lockmere Serpent to kind of close out games. But yeah, I mean, of course, again, that Lockmere Serpent being just huge. Without it, I think his deck would have just looked pretty bad.
I think so too. I think you're totally right. Very low power level without the addition of that Lockmere Serpent. His game plan starting to come into focus a little. He can play a long game for the Serpent. He has a couple of mill cards that he might be able to use. He has a Forever Young, which he could use to kind of power out a late game. But as you mentioned, currently no powerful card draw spells, of which there are many in the format. So he will hope to pick up something like an Unexplained Vision here in this last pack to give him that punch.
Or even a Foreboding Fruit, just something. Ooh.
Wow, this is a bad pack for him. There's an Emery, Lurker of the Lock, which is actually a card that can do work here, but I don't recall, like, he doesn't have any of the big payoffs for it that can really get it going.
Yeah, no Scalding Cauldrons. That's a nice one to just continue to get back a removal spell. He had a couple options at them earlier, but I don't think he's valuing them very highly. So
Golden Egg's really nice, but yeah, he just doesn't have any of the things to do, and frankly, this pack offers him nothing else.
Yeah, I mean, it is the card that has the most upside, right?
Yeah, he has to take it.
Right, that there is just a chance that you do pick up some Golden Eggs and just some ways to abuse the Emery, and yeah, that can also just be a source of card advantage if you can pick those up. So I think it's a decent speculative pick, but certainly something you're not happy first picking, given that your deck doesn't really have the support for it just yet.
Ooh, there's a Reeve Soul at the back of the pack, and thank goodness for Shahar. Oh, sorry, it wasn't. It was a Reaper of Night. That'll do as well, though. But that was really his last chance to pick up a good card out of the pack, and he managed to. He is looking at the opt. Remember, he has the Fairy Vandal, so he's probably considering that in his equation. But I think you got to take the first Reaper over the second opt here.
Right, but look at the red and green cards. I mean, it looked open, but it just continues to be open, of course, right? You see that Scorching Dragonfire, and the Edgewall Innkeeper. I mean, Edgewall Innkeeper just being one of the best uncommons in the set. And I mean, that's coming from a 1-mana 1/1. But the fact of the matter is, if that creature stays on the battlefield, you know, in limited games kind of tend to go longer. If you can't answer it immediately, it will run away with the game. You're going to be able to draw so many cards off that creature.
Hey, he got all the card draw spells he could want now. He found a Foreboding Fruit and an Unexplained Vision. There's also a Witchclaw Talisman in the pack, though it really feels like he would prefer just to take the solid value card, either of the card draw spells at this point. I like Vision myself as the pick. I think it's significantly better than Foreboding Fruit, even given the extra mana.
Yeah, unless Shahar was maybe extremely heavy black, but it looks like he just has a nice mix of both. But, you know, maybe if his mana base looked like it was going to be something like 12 swamps, 5 islands, I can maybe see justification. But yeah, I agree with you. I think Unexplained Vision is the pick there.
Another Innkeeper. I can't do this.
Oh,
I'm trying so hard. Yeah, there's another Innkeeper.
No.
I'm trying so hard to not be the, like, look at the red-green cards, look at the red-green cards, look at the red-green.
You can't not
you made the point, and now I can't.
Yeah,
I'm just like, look at the red-green card.
Right, and of course it's too late. It is way too late at this point. Shahar simply just has to take that Foreboding Fruit. Of course, not feeling, what?
He cut it.
He cut it?
Maybe it's not too late.
Maybe it's not too late.
It's definitely too late.
Yeah.
He knows it. He's
like,
it.
I am not giving
Oh,
double Innkeeper.
wow. An epic downfall this late? Dang, that is a gift.
Right, and there's, yeah, and he's definitely going to be taking that card. Thunderous Snapper, of course, very good, but he is blue-black, so that is going to be nearly impossible to cast.
Wow. The aptly named Epic Downfall. I am really surprised to see that in the pack still, given the way that the first pack went, but Shahar's like, I will take it.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you what, having access to 2 copies of Epic Downfall is amazing. Like,
Absolutely.
It is, like you said, it's one of the best removal spells in this set, full stop. So that is excellent for Shahar. Another copy of Witchclaw Talisman available here, and he's going to take it. I'm interested to see if that ends up making the cut for him. The general consensus has been, not so much, not really worth it. Even though on paper, it should work, right? You end up with 2 cards out of the deal, they get 1, but people just end up not doing it.
I think it also goes up in value if you have a bomb in your deck. If you have something that's extremely powerful, something like that Lockmere Serpent, for example, where now he doesn't have to worry about maybe that Lockmere Serpent being the bottom card of his library. He has basically effectively a second copy of that card in his deck now by playing the Witchclaw Talisman. On top of that, it's an artifact. If he does choose to play Emery Lurker of the Lock, this is an additional card that you could maybe recur off that Emery and get some value out of it.
Kind of back to business here for Shahar, though. Really nothing to speak of down the stretch. He just cut Surfair the Henchhammer from the last pack, and he's going to take a Steelgaze Griffin. But his deck is not set up for Steelgaze, and it's not that good even if you are. So unlikely to make the cut here for Shahar. He's just sort of going through the motions. Interesting draft for him. He had some spikes of like, hello, some really nice stuff showed up for him in this last pack. That said, outside of the highlights, pretty average, maybe even a little below average card quality.
Yeah, I'm wondering if maybe this was a team thing where kind of going in, maybe they identified that Dimir control is where you want to be, or maybe it's going to be the underdrafted archetype, so he wanted to really move in, or he just saw that he started with some blue and black cards and just decided to move in.
Yeah,
because, the one important thing that's really especially important in this format, of course it's important in any limited format, but reading the signals, it is crucial in this format because of the fact that, if you can identify the open monocolor, you can get rewarded heavily, right? and the payoff cards are so strong in this format too. And locking yourself into a color combination that early when you continue to see better cards in other colors, that can be your downfall.
Epic
Downfall, even.
Yeah, the interesting part about this too, because I actually love the archetype, blue-black. I think it's really, really good in this format, but it is the only control deck that you can draft realistically. But there is a key card that I don't even think saw a copy of, which is so tiny.
Yeah, so
Was
tiny.
there even one in his hand?
I did not see one. There might have been one where
Like
he slammed the
early.
Lockmeter Serpent
Yeah.
because we didn't see any other cards
Yeah,
probably.
yeah.
But and maybe a pack with the Epic Downfall. But I don't recall seeing that card. And that is certainly a card where its stock has risen over time, right?
That's right.
Effects like that generally people don't value very highly.
No.
But it's so powerful in this format because people are looking to be aggressive. It just buys you that time, and the blue-black control decks just have lots of ways to draw cards. So to be able to follow up a play like where in turn 4, for example, you go Foreboding Fruit and have So Tiny available,
Absolutely.
that is huge.
It's critical, and it also scales with the game. It only costs 1 mana, and it effectively nullifies an early threat for that 1 mana. But then later in the game, if you draw it, normally those type of effects are much worse. Now they have a 6/6 or something, and you're like, well, I guess I'll shrink it down a little bit, and you're really not getting a card worth of value. But typically in this deck, it will be doing -6, -0 instead, and you actually do get that full value out of it over the time. So it's one of those things where, I'd want to see 3 of those in my deck. Maybe 4. Like, I really want that card, and he has 0.
Yeah, and the flash on it is huge too, because again, we've seen cards like this where if it doesn't have flash, it's not quite as important. But the fact that you can also use it as a combat trick is huge,
Yes.
right? It's very similar to the card Spontaneous Mutation, right?
It's very similar to card Swords to Plowshares.
Okay, I'm not going to go that far.
One of us is in R&D. The other one is not.
Yeah.
So that was it. So give us a quick grade on Shahar's deck. Where do you think it comes in? Sort of maybe 1 out of 10.
You know, I
5
actually
being
think,
average.
I mean, he got some removal spells, but I think this deck is below average. I
Okay.
think I would give it a 4 out of 10 probably. You know, he does have that Lockmeter Serpent that he wants to draw. He's got some card draw, but you know, a lot of times the power level of your deck is defined by like how many uncommons and just some of the payoff build arounds that you have. He didn't get a lot.
Yep.
You know, he's got a bunch of filler commons and a solid rare, and that's basically what he has.
Yeah, and 2 Epic Downfall. He's
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
be
of
leaning
course,
on this.
of course.
Because as much as we like the So Tinies, those aren't bad either.
Right.
All right, well, what we're going to do now is we're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we will have our recorded draft for you, and then we'll be getting right into the draft round. So hang with us. We'll be back right after this.